Chapter 16 in Belgian, Brussels. On January 28, 1890, Rizal left the French city of Paris to go to Brussels, the capital of Belgium. Rizal had enough of the Parisian life for two reasons. Number 1. The cost of living in Paris was very high due to the Universal Expedition. Thousands of visitors from all over the world crowded every hotel, inn, and boarding house. Number 2. Although he remained serious in pursuing his career, the gay social life of the city hampered his literary works, especially his novels, the El Filibusterismo. However, his friend thought otherwise. Marcelo H. Del Pilar and Valentin Ventura believed that Rizal left Paris because he was running away from a girl just as he left London. We certainly don't know the truth, but we all know the fact that our national hero was a bit of a ladies' man.
Gusto kong iparin ang tayog ng ulan. Gusto kong sisirin.
Rizal explained to them that his money was dwindling down. In response, Ventura generously invited Rizal to stay with him in Paris without pay. Having a high sense of dignity and not accepting charity from any man, Rizal politely refused Ventura's invitation.
Nawari, mga pangarap natin, ating abutin ang kapangyarihan na sa puso natin.
Life in Brussels.
Ating abutin.
Rizal arrived in Brussels and was accompanied by Jose Albert. They found a modest boarding house on 38th Rue Philippe Champagne, which was run by the Jacobi sisters, Suzanne and Marie. Later, Albert left the city and was replaced by an engineering student named Jose Alejandro. Rizal was a very busy bee while on his stay in Brussels. He was never idle even for an hour. He was busy writing the continuation of the Noli, which was the El Filibusterismo. Aside from this, he wrote several articles for the La Solidaridad and letters to his family and friends. As we all know, Rizal had many talents and skills. Being a physician, he spent a part of his time in the medical clinic. For recreation, he practiced fencing, gymnastics, and even target shooting. As proof of his skills with a gun, he sent a letter to Antonio Luna. The letter contained a target with 10 bullet holes, and Rizal said he shot it from 7.5 meters. Rizal was quite the marksman. Living in a foreign land can be expensive. That's why Rizal was so tight with his budget. As another proof of his frugality, roommate Jose Alejandro shared their story of how they ate pancit for lunch and supper for 2 straight days. Apparently, they wanted to eat pancit one day, but miscalculated the ingredients and bought so many. Despite his European education and extensive knowledge of foreign languages such as Nihongo, German, French, and more, Rizal loved his own language of Tagalog. He was the first to advocate the Philippinization of its orthography. For instance, the letter K and W should be used instead of the Spanish C and O. Thus, the word salakot with a C should be written salakot with a K, and the word araw with O should be changed into araw with W. As early as September 1886, Rizal adopted the new orthography in his Tagalog translations of Schiller's Wilhelm Tell and Andersen's Fairy Tales. Rizal received news from Antonio Luna and Valentin Ventura about Filipinos in Spain running their reputation by gambling too much. In response, Rizal sent a letter to Filipino community urging to stop. Angry about the letter, the gambling Filipinos called Rizal Papa or Pope instead of Pepe.
Mahal kong kapatid, kumusta ka na at ang iyong mga isinusulat? Huwag mong pababayaan ang iyong katawan. Bukod sa pluma, ang iyong kalusugan ang tangi mong kakampi laban sa mga kaaway. Pasensya ka na kung ngayon lamang ako nakasulat. Pepe, isang malaking trahedya ang nangyari sa Kalamba. Noong ika-6 ng Setyembre ay dumating dito ang isang pulutong ng mga Gwardiya Sibil. Matagal ng bulong-bulungan ang paglusob nila. Mula pa nang magpetisyon tayo laban sa maling pamamalakad ng mga prayle sa ating lupa. Pero walang nagkakalang magaganap ito sa madaling panahon. Bawat pamilya ay binigyan nila ng 24 oras upang mag-impake at lisanin ang mga bahay. Nang hindi pumayag si Nanang at Tatang, ay puwersahan silang itinulak palabas. Muntik nang sumubsob ang Nanang sa putikan.
Nanang! Nanang!
Ang mga walang hiyang prailing yan. Kasalanan ba kung nagawa ng mga magsasaka na magkaisa at kalabanin sila? Hindi na nga sila ang tunay na may-ari ng lupa. Sila pa itong may ganang maningil ng buwis. Buti sana kung napupunta ang pera sa gobyerno at hindi sa nanlilimahid nilang mga simbahan. Nang araw na yun, kahit saang bahagi ng Kalamba ka magpunta, maririnig mo ang taghoy ng mga tao. Parang isang mahabang parada ng patay ang nangyari. Kahit ang mga bata na karaniway walang kamuwang-muwang, kahit sila makikita mong umiiyak. Wala na tayong babalikan. Kinamkam nila ang lahat. Ang ating bahay, ang ating lupa, lahat.
Because of the bad news he has been receiving, Rizal was troubled with nightmares. Although he was not superstitious, Rizal had the feeling that his life would not last long. He was not afraid to die, but he wanted to finish his novel before doing so. Rizal shared his story to Del Pilar. He said that when he was still a child, he already had a feeling he wasn't gonna reach 30 years of age. He also shared his nightmares about death and how he is preparing himself for this death. He also wanted the others to not worry about him, since he is not depressed or sad. Ultimately, his goal just to finish El Filibusterismo, believing he only could finish what nobody else can finish. Despite all the threats to his life, and proving once again that he is not afraid to die, Rizal planned to go home. He couldn't live in Brussels, knowing his family and friends in Calamba were persecuted for his actions. Upon hearing that Graciano Lopez Haina was planning to go to Cuba, he urged him to not pursue his travel and instead to go home to the Philippines and allow himself to be killed for his idols. Rizal quoted, "We have only one opportunity to die, and if we do not die well, we lose an opportunity which will not be again presented to us." All his friends were horrified of his plan, knowing what could possibly happen to Rizal. Rizal would not stop by any threats in going home. However, in June to July 1890, he received a letter from his brother Pasiano that they lost the case against the Dominicans in Manila. Pasiano forwarded the case to the Supreme Court in Spain and said that he needs a lawyer in Madrid. So Rizal asked for M.H. Del Pilar's expertise and services as a lawyer, and further informed him that he would be going to Madrid with him to supervise the case. It was against a background of mental anguish in Brussels that Rizal wrote a poem called To My Muse. This poem was considered pathetic and lacked the exquisiteness of To the Flowers in Heidelberg, and less polished than To the Filipino Youth. Two things kept Rizal cheerful in Belgium. One was the summertime, which was celebrated in carnival style, with fantastic floats and many days of merriment. The second was his romance with Petite Jacobi, niece of his landladies, Suzanne and Marie. Rizal was so charming and dignified a gentleman that Petite was attracted to him. They flirted with one another, but once again Rizal left the girl for his greater mission, leaving the girl lonely and heartbroken. From the busy days of writing, target shooting, and fencing, to the 2 days of eating pancit, the troubles and bad news from home, and his growing relationship with death, Rizal's time in Brussels was certainly memorable. And this is the end of our report.
Yay!